So, is that it over? Has the book been closed, the line been drawn, the hatchet buried? It should be, but it probably won't be. This is Scottish football, after all. Maybe this time it will be different, maybe common sense will prevail, and maybe, after several years, countless statements and hundreds of arguments, our game will move on from the Rangers EBT saga. Just a few weeks after calling for a review into the way that the complex and complicated case was dealt with at Hampden, the SPFL have had to back down. Now, it won't happen. Read more. Rangers manager Pedro Caixinha squared up to Celtic coach John Kennedy in the Ibrox tunnel with no backing from the Scottish FA, who insisted there was only limited appetite for the 6-year-long chapter to be reopened and reviewed. The SPFL couldn't lead the way. It probably wasn't the start to life in the Hampden hot seat that new chairman Murdoch McLennan had in mind, but he and his board were left with little option after Stuart Regan made it clear that the SFA wanted nothing to do with any review. The SPFL board has been clear that any meaningful review would have had to be carried out in association with the Scottish FA and with the full and active cooperation of both organisations, McLennan said. The SPFL board has therefore concluded that it cannot, by itself, take forward an effective independent review. Read more. Rangers 0-2 Celtic. Pedro Caixinha's side are better, but still not good enough at Ibrox after spending significant sums on independent legal advice. Both bodies are comfortable with their respective positions. So, that looks like that, and we should all move on, much like Rangers fans were told to do when they raised concerns over the five-way agreement, the SFA transfer embargo and the SPL and SFL votes that saw the club enter the third division. Now, McLennan, Chief Executive Neil Doncaster, Independent Non-Executive Director Karen McCluskey and the club representatives, Anne Budge, Les Gray, Stuart Robertson, Martin Ritchie, Warren Hawke and Ian Dugan, can get on with the job of looking forward, of clinching better sponsorship deals and of attracting fans back to grounds up, down and across the country. The board will all have their own agendas and their own club to promote, that is only natural, but that top table, elected just 2 months ago, should now pull together for the good of our game, for all of our teams and all of their fans. Read more. Graham Doran's mistakes at either end of the park cost Rangers dear against Celtic. There will be some supporters, of course, that will see the firm stance from the SFA and the U-turn from the SPFL as a slap in the face. They will take to the internet, to blogs and to forums, rather than the streets, though. Regan claimed earlier this month that Celtic were the only club that had indicated to the SFA that they wanted a review of how the situation was handled by Scottish football's power brokers. And it will be a section. How big exactly is another argument of the Parkhead crowd that are no doubt most upset that the SPFL have now ruled that no such overview will take place. Read more. Nacho Novo confident Rangers will get better with time this term after suffering a Old Firm defeat when Chief Executive Peter Lawwell takes his seat at the top table at the next AGM. There will undoubtedly be questions from the floor about Celtic's position on the matter and the so-called Resolution 12 argument regarding the awarding of a UEFA licence to Rangers in 2011. That case could yet be reviewed by the SFA compliance officer, rather than direct their ire at Lawwell for not taking action. Those Celtic fans have their sights fixed on Doncaster and Regan. It is they who are the villains in the tale for them. The Parkhead chief was in a win-win situation. If his letters to Regan forced the SFA to participate in the review, Celtic fans got what they wanted. Read more. Rangers can take positives from Celtic clash, says Peter Lervingkrantz. If they didn't, as is the case, he can say he did all he could. His position was clear and the club took the fight all the way only to have their reasoning ignored. Whether that will be enough to placate those supporters, many of whom have seemingly become experts in tax law, insolvency practices and football regulation at an impressive rate, only time will tell. If it does not and they wish to keep fighting their fight, that is their prerogative. It will be their time and their money. As for the SFA, the SPFL and all other stakeholders in Scottish football, their efforts should be put to other uses now. The courts have had their say, and so have the Hampden hierarchies. The timeline of events at Hampden has had many significant dates. Thursday, September 21st should be the final one.